Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I've been counting down to this podcast for a while. We've been talking for a little while, myself and, of course, Johniepee. Make sure you check him out. You released your most recent album in November, The Dress Circle, as well, which is really, really good. I've been for the past hour literally listening to Zebra chatter on and off, literally over and over again. And, you know, one of my favorite things about what you've done is that, you know, you really, I could tell from the very beginning, like, I think you started close to 2017. There was a single that dropped. And then, like, right now, your sound has changed. Like, you haven't stayed the same artist, which is awesome. Your sounds are modern. You've gone from, like, boom bappy to flirting with a few other different sounds, a bit of jazz here and there. So, no, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. It's it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Well, the first thing I actually did want to talk about is I noticed in the Chatter music video you deadlift, and I'm sure people ask you. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this before, but there's a few weights stacked on the bar. Do we have a weight for that? Is there on record for how much that was?
That was funny. I think the one that I shot with the belt was like a 240 or something, and then the camera angle, my editor sort of spliced two different shots together. So you'll actually notice the one where I originally pick up the bar, it's heavier. And then the one where I put it down, the bar is actually lighter. So there's actually like a discrepancy in the weights because it's two shots melded together. But yeah, my PB on the deadlift's like 250 at the moment. I'm going to do a powerlifting comp later in the year. So we'll see if I can beat that. We'll see how we go.
Damn, 250. That's no mean feat. I mean, that's like, you know, we're talking about world record is, what is it, 501 from Thor, but like, you know.
I think it's been beaten now as well. I've got a mate of mine that's doing like 480s and stuff at the moment. There's levels to it, eh? There's as soon as you like, I get clients to do like 100 kilos and they're like, yes, and you're like, it is very good. But I was like, you can do 5 times that if you'd like.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
It feels like, I mean, for you, because you've been doing this for a long time, you started as a personal trainer, like there's no end to it. Like once you lift one weight, you're like, all right, done. Throw that away. Let's set the goal.
Nah, it's always I always try to be better than the person I was the day before and try and just, see where I can improve, whether it like last year's been a weird year. Normally it'd be weights and whatever. And then I got back into boxing again. And it's been, all my goals are sort of like, they go against each other though, like being strong and then being able to run sort of don't really go hand in hand. And then, you know, boxing and then lifting heavy don't really go hand in hand, but I still like to do them all.
Well, I've heard that, you know, running and deadlifting is actually not the greatest combo because when you run, obviously they put some pressure on your lower back and then you deadlift and you can be susceptible to injury. So how do you maintain that balance? I didn't know this would end up being a working out podcast, but that's okay. We'll make it work.
Yeah. It always turns into a fitness podcast with me. I think, as long as you don't do things like I do, silly things like I'll go to the gym on a Sunday and box for 12 rounds and then I'll go lift weights and then I might do a couple of deadlifts and then I'll go for a run. Like if you get to a certain spot, like with your conditioning, like you can almost do anything. But for your average sort of, you know, maybe your weekend warrior or whatever, when you're like, all right, I want to get into running and maybe you carry a bit too much weight or whatever it might be. And then like you try to do deadlifts, it's like, you want to probably drop some of the weight before you're running because otherwise it just smashes all your joints and your lower back and all that sort of stuff. And then you get into the gym and then it's, you know, you might already be susceptible to a little injury or something. So it's always, I'm in an all right position now where I'm sort of not, like I lost like 15 kilos last year just for fun, just to see where I could sit.
You and I have different levels of fun, I think.
No, 100%. No, I'm the one who's like, even at family Christmas, everyone was up. We were up in Lancelin. I had one day off over Christmas, and we all got on the drinks and watching the cricket and whatever. And then I was sort of like, all right, haven't done any exercise today, feeling a bit shitty. Like maybe I'll go for a run. And I'd had, you know, the like the little seltzers, that are popping at the moment. I had about 12 of them, and then I decided to go for like a 7K run, and it was like 42 degrees, but it was good. That's my idea of fun. See, my whole family are like, bro, what are you doing? Like, they just look at me and shake their heads, but I'm happy. It's fine.
Well, you're hydrated off seltzers. So maybe that's the secret to my running, is that I need to get blasted on seltzers first, and then I won't feel because the one thing about running for me, and I've started running recently because my brother, he challenged me to a 10K, and now that I'm saying it publicly, I'll have to do it. But what I found is like running itself is not so bad. It's just the time that you have to do it. It's like, for me, it's like every step is don't stop. Just keep going.
Completely mental, man. Like you realize you get into a bit of a rhythm and you're like, I'll start a run and I'll be like, this sucks. I hate this. Am I really going to do this for the next like 18, 20 minutes and not stop? Like, really? And then it gets to a certain point, I got good music in the headphones. Like that's a massive one. Like, you try run without headphones in, like, good luck. You run and you hear your voice, you just hear you're breathing, you're like, but if you got headphones in, all you can hear is like bangers. You know what's really funny? Sometimes when I'm really struggling, I put on chatter, because when I wrote that song, it was a very hectic time, and it gets me so fueled that I pick up the sprints. It's funny. My own song is probably the only songs that I will listen to of my own that gets me like amped. But
well, very funny. There is no way I would listen to my own podcast while I'm running. That I can guarantee you, because I actually like listening to podcasts when I run. Like, I like listening to Two Bears, One Cave, which is Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. And they, especially at the beginning, they were both overweight. And it kind of gives me motivation, because they talk about their weight. And Bert is always fat, and he's always saying like, oh, I'm on a diet. And then Tom's going to be like, oh yeah, what'd you eat? He's like, nah, man, I've been really good. I had a salad today. It's like, yeah, what else did you have? And then he's like, I had 5 cheeseburgers, 2 pizzas. And it's like, but I'm good. And it just makes me laugh. And then the problem is I laugh while I run. That's the real problem. Then I'm out of rhythm.
You can't be laughing while you're running. If I feel like I've got like, I don't know, something in my chest, and I've got to like spit or something, even like spitting will like throw your rhythm out. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to like, it's good. It's good rap cardio though. It's good like stage cardio, performance cardio. Like, if I can like even lip sync along to my own songs or to a song I like while I'm running, I'm like, I'm good. It does help when you're on stage. But yes.
Well, they're the challenges. But what happened with Chatter? You mentioned that Chatter, obviously that song gets you amped, but like, obviously there's a lot of meaning in the song. But what was happening in your own life during that time that kind of got you to that phase and like still brings up that emotional kind of elevation?
Well, that song for me, I wrote it in 2021, but it was at the start of 2021, and I just sort of like was dealing with a lot of sort of mental anguish. I was in some really interesting situations in my life with finances and work and relationships and all sorts of different things, and I was sort of just like, I needed to vent. I hadn't started boxing again at the time, so I didn't really I had an outlet. I've always gone to the gym and stuff, but I really needed just to like let go of some stuff. And I think Chatter was just essential for me to write, because it was just like purely venting. Like, I'd had some family members pass away and some other things as well, some really sort of hectic situations go down. And it got to a point where I just like sat down one night and I just wrote the whole thing start to finish. I think I wrote it up to like, what's the end of not even the end of the first verse, because I think they're longer than 16 bar verses. I think I wrote to about 16 bars, and I was like, yep, cool. And then I was like, nah. And I like came back to, like, I sort of like went to get up, and then I was like, nah, like sit back down, like sit down, bitch. Like, I was like, we're gonna finish this. And I just sat there till, I don't know, sat there for a couple more hours and smashed the whole thing out. But a lot of the stuff that was going on in my life at the time when I wrote it was very significant to me, and it caused a lot of mental anguish and stress and anxiety, depression, the whole sort of kit and caboodle. And then when it came time to do the video clip, it was really funny that things in my life had, from the time that I'd written it to when it came time to the video clip, whole bunch of things in my life had flipped and changed, and I was on sort of a completely different trajectory by the time the video clip came around. But then, like, on the day of the video clip, a whole bunch of really crazy shit went down in my life, which like pretty much brought me to tears. And then I was having to film that video through that whole process. So the first day of shooting we did was all the shots in the gym, all the shots of the training, and that whole day there was a bunch of stuff up in the air, and I wasn't sure which way things were going to go for me, but the whole situation was just a mess. I won't go into it in great detail, but the whole situation was pretty nuts. Then by the time it came for the second day of shooting, shit had just hit the fan, and I was super upset. I was in a place where I was just like, the rug had just been ripped from underneath me in so many ways in my life, and I had to sort of sit down to get.
So was the anguish to do like with your personal life? Was it with your career?
No, it was all personal life stuff. Yeah, nothing to do with, like, you know, when I originally wrote it, it was me being stressed about, music. Where am I going in my life? My partner at the time, my work, all these sort of different things, different areas of my life. And then by the time it came time for the video clip, it was all personal life stuff. And it was just like, just stuff you don't want to have to deal with, especially when you've got to like essentially perform for a video. But it worked out really well because the emotion I was able to bring out in the video, you can see the training scenes. I'm sort of like, it's me being authentic because the whole song's about dealing with the mental chatter, right? It's about trying to escape the nonsense going on in your mind. And just sometimes, like, I don't know about you, but I've had so much going on in my head that you're like, just like, oh, you literally just want to scream, like, just to sort of like go, oh, like you just want that peace. You want that chatter to just be quiet. You just want to go, okay, I know I've got a billion things to do. There's a billion people pulling on my shirt this way and that way, but right now I just need to focus on this. I just need to breathe, like meditate essentially, right? But so the first day of the filming was me really using the gym and the boxing and the deadlifting and the running and all that stuff that we filmed as a way of just dealing with that chatter at the time, because things were sort of on the cusp of sort of falling to shit. And then the second day of shooting, when everything had fallen to shit, it was like, like just raw emotion. Like, so I had to get different people to come in and fill different roles in the video because other people weren't able to make it, and a whole bunch of stuff had happened. And so for me, it sort of reminds me, that song encapsulates a whole period of time with so many ups and downs in it. And but it just reminds me, like, the video clip was sort of like a fuck you to a couple of people as well that sort of didn't really want to see it come out. They sort of just, they were like, oh, like, don't, obviously it seems like things are too hard. Just don't worry about doing a video. And I was like, nah, like, this video, I've had the idea for this video for ages. Like, I'm getting this done. And so now when I sort of listen to that song, it sort of takes me back to those times where it was pretty hectic, and just reminds me, like, you've overcome all of that. Yes, some things still are a bit painful. Some things are still, interesting to deal with. But, I'm like, cool. Like, we did it, but it just gets me hyped because it makes me go, like, you can do whatever you want. Like, put your mind to it, mate. Like, you're fine. You've got this. So it can, definitely help me turn to fifth gear. It's like getting I got chased by a dog on a run the other day, and that, like, the gear comes out of nowhere. I was already sprinting, and then all of a sudden there was this dog, and I was like, whoa, and was like, I've got headphones in. There's no chance that I can, like, be like, hey, buddy, like, get it to calm down. It wanted to bite the shit out of me. So it was like sixth gear. Oh, no, that's my top gear. Seventh gear. I just kept going. But this song cranks out some sort of extra gears. I mean, I think when I get to finally sort of, obviously with the way that everything's been with the old Rona, when I finally get to perform it live, it'll be a big amp up song for me. So it'll be great. But long story short, it helped me. Yeah, the video holds a lot of significance, and so does the song. But it's nice doing something that's like a little bit like harder. You know what I mean? Like, I'm known for sort of doing like sort of the chill stuff. Like, and I do froth on that. I don't always want to listen to sort of intense music, but doing a song that's a little bit more down that sort of harder vein is fun for me. So yeah. But
so what was the
crazy
period of time between the recording of the song and then shooting the music video?
So the song had been recorded, I would say, first demos probably would have been March or April 2021. And then the video clip was shot end of October. So it was a bit of time between, but I was pretty much just compiling everything for the Dress Circle because I've got like such a big backlog of songs that like I was just trying to see what would fit the vibe because I don't know if you know the story behind the Dress Circle, like the reason it has the name, the sort of significance of the artwork and what have you, but it was essentially for my nan and my auntie who had passed away. And so I was trying to sort of couple, you know, whatever songs made it on the album, I wanted them to all sort of encapsulate what was going on. You know, every time I've dropped an album from like my first project to my second project, whatever, it's sort of like, well, what's this now? Dress Circle was my third actual or second album, but like fifth project. But whatever's going on during those periods of time is what makes it on the project. Like it's like I don't just write like a random song for the hell of it. It's like it's whatever. That's why I guess it's the benefit of being a musician, but also the downside is like, especially for me, like I try to be as authentic as I can. All of my stuff has to come through some sort of bullshit. Like it has to come from a place of whether it's happy, whether it's sad, whether it's a breakup, whether it's I don't know, got assaulted, like whether, you know, whatever's happened, like, you know what I mean? You can draw from those situations and go from there. But yeah, I was still in that period of time trying to just figure out what was going to fit on that album because I was like, all right, well, I'm dedicating this to my auntie and my nan. And I don't, you know, I'm not going to have some song about, I don't know, some inappropriate song about a girl.
Fucking
or
bitches.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The classic hip hop song about like fucking bitches, going to the club, you know, suck my dick, all that kind of shit wouldn't have fit the vibe. So yeah. Had you if you had that track, I would have been like, talk to me about that track because it seems to really like come out of nowhere.
It would have been like the bonus track on the deluxe edition. So yeah, it's crazy. But there is, and we've got the deluxe edition coming out this Friday now with a few extra songs that sort of I was umming and ahhing about having them on there for the original, and then I was like, no, these songs fit the vibe completely, but I just needed to rework them because I wasn't happy where they were at the time of release. So there's four extra songs that are going to be on the deluxe edition on Friday, which will be a little continuation of the story essentially. So,
and for those listening not live because this podcast live streams, it's already out now, so go get it. So make sure you go get it. It's already out now.
Regular been out since, what was it, November 19, and then deluxe edition drops on the Friday the 14th. Whatever time this is out for people, it might be the past, it might be the future, who knows? But
that's what I love about this is like we're both in the past and the future all at the same time. But I was going to ask you because, like, do you think that artists struggle with like creating content, especially, you know, extremely successful artists, because you said you needed to go through things in your life to have your own content, but like once you're extremely famous, extremely wealthy, the level of the problems that you have or the struggles that you have are almost in a way unrelatable to your general audience. Do you feel like artists struggle with that in like finding what can I create a song that is actually going to appeal to people? Like what do they live through as well?
I think it's interesting. I think it's probably like it's neither here nor there. Like, because I think that for certain artists like Drake, for example, Drake will drop a song about stuff that we have absolutely no comprehension of, like, you know, hiring 30-seater planes for the 10 of us, blah, blah, blah. Talk about all this sort of stuff that we're like, what do you mean? But because it's Drake, he gets away with whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but then there's also like, it's like when you think of a rapper's name, like even my name is like Johniepee. It's like, that's who I am. I sort of sometimes think my name's stupid, but then I'm like, but people like my name, and like any name sounds stupid until it blows up. You know what I mean? Like it's It's how it is. It's Snoop Dogg, weird name, but it's Snoop Dogg, so you don't care. Like even Drake, sort of a weird name, but it's Drake because you've developed that sort of, you know, you're like, oh, that's Drake, like, you know, cool. It's just funny how it works. You know, you sort of get a sort of conditioned to something for long enough and you think it's cool. I think as well, though, like artists will completely dumb down, like Jay-Z said it, I'm pretty sure, you know, like you've got to like dumb down your writing for the general population, like, which is true. Like if I write a song that's super intricate and like barred with heaps of metaphors and heaps of stuff that the average listener, like maybe not a hip hop listener, but like a pop listener or something wouldn't understand. There's sort of, you're cutting your range and your audience short. Whereas if you were to, you write something obviously that's quite sort of general and very relatable, you know, and artists, even if they haven't gone through that, like a lot of the very famous artists will have a whole team of writers anyways and go, all right, well, what are we gonna write that's gonna really just touch the most people and make it as generalized as possible? But that's how it is. Like even when I write a song, if I write it from my perspective and there's a lot of like, you know, me as the man, blah blah blah, that can sort of cut out a heap of the women listening to my music. So it's sort of like you want to sort of include everybody. But yeah, I think we live in a world where once you're at that level of fame, I don't think it really matters what you put out. People are going to hate and love your stuff regardless of what you do. There's always going to be someone who's going to have everyone's got their opinions. So, but yeah, I definitely think, I reckon it's probably easier once you've made it on that level, because I think you sort of can do no wrong. Whereas like if I'm to write a song now and try and be, you know, write the song about the bitches at the club and the whatever, and drive it around in my Maserati and whatever, people are probably like, well, John probably doesn't have a Maserati. He's got a Volkswagen outside, but he doesn't have a Maserati. You know, I think you sort of could be seen as a phony, but when you've got that wealth, or you know, the material or whatever they want to rap about, I think people are just like, yep, like can't do anything wrong. So
I do find it interesting though that, like, you know, music is entertainment. So, but then audiences get annoyed because it's not true. But it's like movies aren't true, and like you're putting on a performance. Like, you know, you aren't Johniepee all the time. Like that's who you are as a stage person. Like 50 Cent is his stage name. His real name is Curtis Jackson. So like, you know, it's strange that like you'll make up a story and people are like, well, that's not real, so they hate you on it. But it's like, yeah, but it's entertainment. So it's like, it's a strange area that especially hip hop artists, I feel, play within, that it has to be real or real enough, but also can't be too blown out of the water. It's like a really weird fine line that they try to strike.
It's an interesting balance. I'm going to close this window because I think these birds are doing, I don't know if you can hear them, they're doing my head in. Screeching little.
I can hear them a little bit. I think, where are you based? Sydney?
No, I'm in Perth.
Oh, you're in Perth at the moment. Well, I've never been to Perth, but like I've heard beautiful things. Obviously, the birds must be pretty happy as well.
Oh, the birds are. I think it's like literally like a baby chick just like screaming for its mom, and it just sounds like someone with like nails on a chalkboard. So I'm like, that's probably not the best for listeners. Yeah, I don't know. The only way that I can sort of write music, I think, is from that authentic place. Like I need to go through something. So if I go through a breakup, oh man, I'll have an album in a week. I wrote an album based on something that happened with me and a girl like not that long ago. And the amount of songs I pumped out, everyone was like, holy shit, bro. Like there's another album sitting there already, and that's just from one experience. Like just so many different facets of whatever that, like, yeah, I think that you got to obviously have your imagination. And I think I did that more when I started. I think like my very early songs, like, you know, Smile Shotgun and whatever, was sort of just like I was just trying to be clever. I was just trying to like, like how the hell did Seth Century write that? How did so-and-so write that? Like, wow, just inspired by people and trying to just like figure it all out. Cause I started this in like 2015. I don't think I dropped a song till 2017, but like, yeah, just working. Like, I think when you first start out, you're just trying to figure out how the hell to do it. And then you sort of find your rhythm. Like you said, your sound evolves, you change, you evolve. And then by the time you're actually dropping songs, you're like, okay, well, it seems that I find it a lot easier to rap about stuff that's, stuff that I've gone through, or, when I'm in those sort of dark times. A lot of the songs come from those days where I'm like, I don't have them as much anymore, thank God. But, when I was living in Sydney or whatever, I'm just stressing about so many different things and sitting in my car, and like I've gone to the gym and then I've just got a beat on and I'm like, all right, I need to like vent. It's my counseling session with myself essentially. So a lot of those songs come from those similar sort of places. But
it is interesting though that like a lot of music and a lot of artistry comes from pain. Like it's so strange because it's like pain breeds creativity and breeds artistry, whereas like joy, like it does, but like not to the same extent. It's just so weird that like it's like we tap into it as humans like a different level when we're going through something that we figure out like this pit that we didn't have access to before.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always just a reminder. I think the pain is such a beautiful thing to draw on, because when you, like when I listen back to Chatter, I can go back and go, look at life now and look how it felt then. And it's probably more so the perspective of it. It's not that the pain's any better than the joy. I think the pain just helps you appreciate the joy. So it's like, shit hits the fan. You're like, whoa, I remember that moment. I remember I couldn't feel lower. It's really weird. I dated a girl a while ago who like didn't like hip hop at all. And then she obviously found out what I do and started listening to my music. And then, every time we'd be in like the car or whatever, she'd be like, oh, like, I love this song. Like what? Like, tell me about this song. Tell me about that song. I just hear her listening to my music in the background while she's getting ready or whatever. I'm like, okay. And it's just really interesting because every single one of those songs has a timestamp. It has like who was in my life? Where did I write that? Who's it about? Like, it's awkward when a girl's listening to a song you wrote for another girl and she's like, I love this song. You're like, yeah. 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 But you know what I mean? Like, but it's like a timeline, man. Like, I'm so grateful for, like you said, like Johniepee is who I am on stage, and there's so many other facets of me and different things I'm trying to achieve as well outside of music. But I'm just so grateful that I've got this amazing, sort of photo album I can look back on, or audio album. Really, I can listen back on and go, remember that time. And like some of those songs, like, man, I'm like, I literally didn't know if I was going to be like alive in 6 months. Like it was just times were dark. I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel sort of thing. So it's sort of cool. It's like, oh yeah, you've been there before. Like, you can do this again, It's
like a chronicles of your own life. It's like a, it's like a, and for you, they're moments, but they're also moments for your audience, which is awesome as well. Yeah. Like, I spoke to Novel and he was like, every time I go on a holiday, I pick a brand new album and I listen to the album all holiday, so that whenever I hear the album, it reminds me of the holiday. So like, there are people doing that. So the cool thing is like, it'll remind you of your own moments, but it remind the audience of like their moments. And it's like this weird link that you have in an emotional state.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think I'm the same. Like, on like the Spotify rewrap thing, how it'll show, your top songs from whatever. Man, when I go back and I listen to my top songs from 2018, it's funny. It's like 2018 for some reason. All of the songs that I listened to in that time, because that was my last year in Sydney, and it was probably one of my busiest years. 2019 probably was my busiest year, but 2018 holds a lot of significance for me. And so some of those songs that I still listen to this day, that were my favorite songs in 2018, like, they're still on my playlist now because it just evokes such good memory. It was like obviously pre-pandemic, music was cranking along, like touring everywhere, like working with friends, still living in Sydney. So like a lot of my, really, really close connects were just around the corner. But yeah, I love that. That's a really great idea though. I think that happens to me by accident. Like I don't go, I'm going to listen to a new song. I'm just like, I'm just listening to this because this makes me feel this. And then when I come back, I'm like, remember you're in the Maldives, blah. Like, yeah. So it's cool. It's a very good way to do it. It's a very good way.
I just find it cool that music brings it out in us. Like, there's something about a song and it's like 3 minutes, but for whatever reason, it's like, it just is linked to so much. Like you've got, high school graduation songs. Like you play it and you feel the emotion of like when you graduate. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn world. Because you're like, I haven't heard this song in forever, but like it comes on and you just feel like a child again.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Music's probably one of the only things that draws emotion out of me like that. Like I could go through like some pretty turbulent stuff in my life, might not even shed a tear. Like I'm not one of those guys that sort of don't cry, real men don't cry. That's not me at all. But music sends me to a place where I can engage with emotion just like effortlessly. And I'm like, like your eyes start welling up. You're like, this song, man, geez, like hits you in your soul. Like there's not many things like it. Like, yeah, it can happen during a movie, blah, 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 blah. But for me, it's like in the movie, if there's a movie that I like, it's always because it's accompanied by the music. If there was no sound, like you got to be a pretty damn good actor to draw emotion out of a person without having that backing track. It's always the soundtrack that really gets you going. And then that's why music's so cool, because it just becomes a soundtrack to your life. Like when I'm doing stuff, that's why it helps when you run. Because like I know for me, okay, I'm doing decent splits at the moment. I've got to get quicker, blah, 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 blah. Put something on that like jacks me up. And then I'm like, like you just imagine yourself in the movie. You know what I mean? You're like, you see it, it's all black and white. There's, not that there's ninjas or dinosaurs chasing you or anything, but you're like, or zombies and shit. But you're like, wow, yeah. Like I always have that sort of third person view and I'm like, yeah. Like I'm in the movie, let's go. Like that's why it amps you up before a fight. That's why it amps you up before whatever it is. Yeah, it's cool. It's a good thing. It doesn't. I was talking to a friend about this the other day because I've recently gotten sort of into modeling of all sorts. Of all things. And he was saying about.
So what type of modeling? Like, are we talking like arts and crafts modeling? Like
nude? No. Just like streetwear and whatever and probably.
Okay, so like pictures. I was like, are you like doing paper mache? Like I was so confused.
Competitive origami. All those sort of things. No, just like a little side thing as well, and which is good. But it's funny how I sort of lost my train of thought with that now. I'm pretty sure I was going to say how there are I've lost it. I was going to say there's so many different facets. Can't remember what I was going to say.
Well, that's what happens when I interrupt my guests.
No. Hey, I think I'd already lost it by the time I started talking. I was like, yep, clearly would make a good model. Just kidding.
That's the pitch. That's the pitch to anyone who wants to sign you up.
Yeah. They say that they're not the smartest, So it's like, actually, I'm here today because of I think I was going to say, I was talking to Lloyd about it. We were just talking about like the different facets outside of music and stuff. Can't remember how that applies to anything. Don't stress. It'll come back. It'll come back.
We'll move on to. You said actually something that piqued my interest was, dating people who aren't into hip hop, and most of the girls that I've dated, and most people that I ever go on dates with, they're like not into it as well. And it's always a conversation of like, whenever they find out I interview rappers, and it's like, who do you interview? And it's like, if you're not into it, I'm not interviewing. I'm not interviewing Dr. Dre or Eminem or like Cardi B. So it's like
No.
a strange kind of period where it's like you gotta kind of bear with me, and then over time, then they'll find like a song or two, because it's all I play in the car. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If I'm driving, I'm like my music.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm the exact same. To be honest, it should have been a very large red flag that she didn't like hip hop. I remember that particular girl had said to me something along the lines like, on our first date, asked me if I'd liked Ariana Grande, and I sort of just like was like, what did you just say? And sort of just like, yeah, but like do you? And then I remember playing Mac Miller in the car, and she was like, oh, who's this? I was like, she's like, oh, is that the guy that was dating Ariana Grande? I'm like, oh man, like, do not disrespect the Mac Miller like that, please. Yeah, I think I've only realized, recently that it's probably, it's very important to me, like, as much as your style will rub off on someone else, like if like, I'm the same as you, if I'm always listening to hip hop, like whoever I'm with is probably gonna start, like, they'll eventually pick up songs, and then I'll catch them listening to a little bit of this or that, and I'm like, nice. But when you've got that connection where someone's like a hip hop head from the start, like one of my long-term girlfriends I met her at a show. Like I met her on tour with Bliss N Eso, and she, like, to this day, like we're still like best mates. Like she, it's just better. It's just better when there's like, you can talk shit about what's going on in the scene. You can talk shit about, oh, what did you reckon of so-and-so's new album? Da 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 da. Like we bonded initially over like a J. Cole album, and just like we're talking about, our favorite parts of that. I'm like, it is better when you don't have to be the same person, obviously, in a relationship, but having that, when music's an important thing to you, having that sort of that common ground, I reckon is priceless, really. But yeah, so next time if a girl says, do you like Ariana Grande, I might just, I've got to go.
It's so funny. Most people like, let's make sure our politics align. For us, it's like, let's make sure our music aligns, because, it's not going to work. And, like people are like, I love Disney music. And I just envisage my life where like we're going on a drive and I have to listen to a Disney soundtrack. And I know people love that shit, but I can think of nothing worse than having to listen to it, because like I would never choose to listen to it on my own. Never. No. And I would force myself to, and I don't want to force you to listen to a hip hop album that I love. Like if I put on Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep, and then you're like, what the hell is this? That's not a conversation I ever want to have.
It hits your soul, man. Like I've had it many a time where I've shown someone a song that like means so much to me, and they're like, yeah, I don't like it. Like, or they'll just like, turn it over, and I'm like, oh, like it hurts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like showing someone a piece of art, like you've just painted, and they're like, yeah, I don't get it. It's shit. Like, you're like, okay.
But have you heard this Ariana Grande song? That's what they. To be fair, though, Ariana Grande is extremely talented, so we're not hating on her. And if she wants to come on the show, please come on. I'm never going to say no. But it's just like what we're pointing out is like the generic pop star, like any pop star that like really doesn't like it's not in the hip hop scene. It's the same for me with Adele. Again, extremely talented. But if your favorite artist is Adele, like fine, that's fine. I'm just not going to listen to her stuff. Really.
You know what I mean? But it's like if you're going to put on the Adele album, I might be like a little bit, but I guess it's also subjective. Like we have it all comes down to the connections that we've formed with that music. Maybe it is that album we listen to on the holiday. Maybe it is it sort of has a really special place in our heart. And we're like, oh, but wait for this song. This song's the best, and they're just listening to it from a completely different perspective. But it's funny because even like girls that I've dated or friends or family or whoever, everyone has a different way that they even listen to music. Like you'll listen to music differently than I will. I grew up playing drums. So initially I used to always just hear the drums, and then maybe I'd break down the bass and I'd be like, oh, that bass line's so sick. Or I'd like pull apart the instruments, like I've got it in Logic or something, and sort of like hear it in all different parts. and obviously depending on what you're listening to it with, like whether it's AirPods or surround sound or da-da-da. But then it's also like, you know, it's the lyrics, and the amount of people I know that don't listen to music for the lyrics, they listen to it for the beat, the instrumental, and they're like, oh, isn't this so good? And I'm like, yeah, but like that was trash. Like he rhymed the word with the same word 5 times. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, I wasn't listening to the words. And you're like, what? Like, as a lyricist, like, you're like, what do you mean you weren't listening to the words? Or like, did you catch that multi? Did you catch that metaphor there? Like, that was very clever wordplay. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well,
it's like you have to explain a joke. That's what it's like. You're like explaining a joke or explaining a metaphor. Like, I agree that like sometimes I'm even with my brothers and I repeat like a line and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, you don't get it. And they're like, no, we get it. But it's like, it's so strange. You either love it or you don't. And I understand casual hip hop listeners, but like once you're in it, like you're in it, and then you just become obsessed. And I think some artists, like you said at the beginning, was like they can do themselves a disservice because they make their rhyme schemes too complicated. And then even like as an experienced hip hop listener, I'll miss a ton because I don't have the lyrics in front of me. And then I'm listening to it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and I'm still picking up new things. Like Sahai the Prince, he does that to me. I'm always just finding new shit in his songs.
Yeah. There's been times where it's been like 10 years, and then like I've heard something and I'm like, oh, that's what he says. Like, oh, like how did I not get that? Why did I think it was that? Like, and I think that it probably happens with my listeners too, because I'm like, some of this stuff is very specific to me and my world, and like you're not going to know who that person is. That's my grandpa, or that's someone who's very significant to me. But you don't know what that meant. Like, you're just going to sing it. So it's funny, especially at shows back in the day when you could do shows and, you know, someone's like rapping the lyrics at you from the front, and then you're like, yeah. And then they like, you put the mic up to them and they say like, you're like, what did you just say? Like, yeah, that's not the lyrics. And then like, anyways, but it's, it's cool like that though. Like, Lil Wayne just said, real G's move in silence like lasagna, and you don't understand what he said. There's a G in lasagna, guys. Yeah. Come on. It's so funny.
Can I just say, Lil Wayne is not talked about nearly enough.
Bro, like, he's on my wall right here. He's on the. Can I flip my camera?
Yeah, you can flip the camera.
Yeah. He's on the pop vinyl wall. He's there. He's the bro. He was the GOAT for me. Like back in the day. Like, man, like any of my friends, I had all the mixtape stuff. Like Lil Wayne's a weapon, like just too good. Yeah,
I'm obsessed with like his 2018. I think it was the Carter V, or it was amazing, unreal. Like he's got such an interesting voice, and objectively, or I'm always like. Usually I'm like, your voice isn't that pleasant to listen to. It's quite high-pitched. It's quite unique. But he's found a really amazing way of finding the sound that suits his voice and like the emotional. I think that he sometimes goes under the radar for what his skill set is.
Yeah, people sort of go, oh, yeah, like, you know, face tat. Like he was the face tat guy before face tats were cool. He like just, he looks like a bit of a menace, but like damn, he's a weapon. Like there's no one I don't know in my life, I don't know, maybe I've listened to someone else more than him now, but for a period of time there, like, man, that was all it was. And when like you're just like, when he says like what it's like a circle of knives, I've got the sharpest flow around, and you're like when you're like 16, you're like, whoa, like you can't believe that he said that. You're like, hey, he's so clever. But it's and I think that's the thing. I think he's sort of like, for me, my favorite album of his is the Carter 3. The Carter 4 had some real decent stuff on it, like his 6'7" song, like that's a banger. But all his early stuff, like so many of the songs that like you can't even listen to anymore, like you got to find them on YouTube or whatever, they're just so, like the beats are so nuts and the lyrics are just off their head. But they were all mixtape tracks, so they won't release them properly because you'll get sued. But
Can I just say that drives me nuts about Spotify is like there are so many amazing mixtapes out there, like amazing mixtapes that just can't. Yeah, you got to like back channel YouTube kind of shitty quality, and I'm just like, if this was the best quality, there's just so many that are made like studio quality albums, and they're just released as EPs, and it's like, I wish everyone had access to these.
It's just like there's so many versions of like, you know, like 93 to Infinity, like that beat, Freddie Gibbs rapped on that, and that was like, and J. Cole even, you know, rapped on it in the LA Lakers freestyle recently. And like both of those versions, I reckon absolutely shit on the original. Like, no offense to the purists, but like, I'm like, far out. Like, there are so many good like sometimes it takes someone to hop on a track with fresh ears and it just like gives it new life, and you're like, whoa, like, why isn't that the song? Like, that's like, sometimes they can sometimes do it better than the original. Like, and long gone are the days of like, obviously, like rolling around when I was a teenager with like a USB MP3 that had like, you know, 10, I know it probably wasn't 10,000 songs at the time because I could only afford the, you know, the 512 megabyte one. So it was, you know, probably like 500
bricks back in those days to be able to carry that.
Yeah. Well, little like one that just like USB out the side, like boom, and it was so good. It was bulletproof. My mum threw it out the window one time and it still survived, and I managed to find it. It's a funny story. But the music that I had on that, man, like none of those songs, like just drag and drop from your old PC, like you downloaded from a completely legal source, of course.
Yeah, LimeWire. Yeah. Your computer was fucked, but like,
man, but that was the best. That was the best. And yeah, it was sort of like it added it was a cool element to music because it was like, oh, what have you got? It was like trading cards. It was like, oh, what have you got? Oh, I got this, you know, hot new hip hop, blah blah blah, like Lil Wayne remix, and it's like the Canon, blah, like all this, you know, like all these annoying ass little friggin' tags over the top of it. But it was like, listen to this verse, and I guess it's like our generation's way of like, how old are you? Are you late 20?
Just turned 28 actually.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I'm 29, turning 30. Rip. But like,
to be fair, I'm not counting the last 2 years. So like mentally, I'm like, I'm still 26.
Bro, I feel like I'm 50, but you know, it's all good. I'll claim. I'll stick with 20. But I think like for our sort of generation though, like that's like the crate digging of what we could do. Like we weren't going through vinyl and stuff. So it's like you'd find a version of a song or a remix or whatever, and you're like, you know, you'd download it legally, and there you were, and you'd learn so much from it. Like such a cool, weird time of technology. But now it's like everything's so polished, like it's all Spotify, it's all whatever. And it's, you know, people always say to me, like, they're like, oh, how you going with music? Like, you know, are you doing it full time? Da, 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 da. I'm like, mate, like if this was the 80s and my streams were album sales, then yeah, I wouldn't be working anymore. Like, of course, like, but it's like, unfortunately, everything's so watered down and split around everywhere. So it's a real, you know, it's a real struggle sometimes, but we love it. So we still do it, you know.
That's it. Sometimes, you know, and it's about the long-term vision of like, you know, eventually you will, and everyone gets their cut these days. Everyone gets their cut. It's like, you know, before you know it, you only have so many pieces of the pie you can give away until you're left with nothing left. And, you know, Spotify doesn't pay their artists that much. Like, let's be fair. And, you know, a lot of people are stopping, you know, putting their songs on Spotify purely because they're not getting the return on investment to put it on there. So it's like, you know, it's weird because it feels like labels get a lot of bad press for screwing their artists, but Spotify doesn't exactly make up for that in any real way.
When it's like, you know, 1 million streams gets you 5K US, and you're trying to, like, you know, 0.005 cents per stream, and you're like, okay, I'm putting tens of thousands, like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. I'm putting in a lot of money every year to make my music as crisp and polished as I can. And if one of those songs gets 1 million streams, cool, I get 5K back. But it's the ROI is absolute rubbish. Like if you do music for money when you're starting out, like don't. Like no, it's not. That's not what it is. The reason you obviously do it is like when I'm sitting here in this room and I'm writing and I've got a beat playing and the breeze is blowing and those crazy ass birds are screeching. It's so beautiful. You know, I'm in my happy place. You know what I mean? Like I'm able to channel all sorts of different things that are going on in my world and let it out, and then, you know, record it in there. And then you know, by the end of the day, I'm like, oh, here's a couple of the demos, send them around, and my mate's like, this is sick. Or, you know, producers or whatever. And like, that's why we do it. It's like you're making something out of nothing. And, you know, I'm grateful to be in the position I'm in. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm still chugging along. I don't think, you know, if you're ever in a place where you're happy where you are, you're not really growing much anymore. And there's always more, like I've said, with training and whatever, there's levels we can always aspire to be at. So, but yeah, it is definitely a very, one-sided sort of industry, unfortunately. And to be honest, like there's so many parts of the industry that I just don't enjoy at all. Like I even, you know, when it comes to sometimes performing, you know, having like, I love being on stage when I'm on stage, but it's all the stuff around it. It's all the, you know, the organizational stuff, especially when you're independent and you're running it all yourself. There's so much that goes into it that sometimes you're like, cool, you know, you've made all this effort, or you've, you know, when we could fly, you know, I'm over in Sydney, I'm over in Melbourne, I'm in Brisbane, whatever. I love it. I love being there. I love seeing my friends. I love doing all that sort of stuff, seeing my fans, seeing everyone like that. But it's like the amount of effort that goes into like to shows, like people don't understand, hey, like, and this is only, and I'm only a small fish, you know what I mean? Like, it's like wait until the live bands and the, you know, the pyrotechnics and the, you know, like imagine like the team that Drake has, but you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. But we do it because we love it. That's all that matters. You know what I mean?
That's it. And, you know, I think that's what people forget is like how much money it actually costs to be an artist or to do anything really. Because like I found out with this podcast is like I started with just the computer and that's it, and a shitty computer. And then I bought like an entry-level microphone, and then you buy a webcam, and then you want to upgrade to another microphone. You want to upgrade. Then I had to make the room. Then I bought furniture, and it just keeps going. Then I bought a camera, and you just keep buying shit. And it's like, you're still not seeing any return on it. And you're sinking thousands of dollars into it because you love it. And it's like the same with music is like, you know, you got to pay people to shoot your videos. You got to pay marketing. You got to make sure that your distributions are correct. You got to, like you said, anyone you're taking on tour, they got to pay for meals. You got to pay for hotels. You got to pay for lighting. You got to pay for stage. You got to rent spaces. Like it's just ridiculous. And if you laid it all out to somebody, I reckon 99% of people would say no.
I know so many people in my life, even family members and whatever. My cousin's fiance is very, works for the government, very sort of rigid. She's like, I don't understand. And when I first moved back to Perth, it was like the only way I made money, because I left like a good job in Sydney and a bunch of stuff when I moved back here. And it was like I sold stuff on Gumtree Marketplace. I flipped stuff. I sold basketball cards. I like did a whole bunch of little side hustles to make a bit of money. And then my only other money was music and speaking in schools and like performing for kids at schools and whatever else as well. And it was like, and I told her about that shit, and she's like, I can't even, you know. I'm like, yeah, like I'm completely casual. I don't know if I'll pay my rent, you know, like people just don't understand the sort of the grind, I guess. But like, it was only in the last couple of years that I was like, all right, no longer will I be a broke artist. That is not a thing. You've got to also be practical. It's like, I'm a musician. Yes. I'm good at what I do. Yes. but I also have, like I said, other facets. I think that's probably what I was going down with the sort of modeling thing, sort of just saying that there's other avenues that I can take. And I've always been that way. I've always had like 5 different things going on at once, whether it's speaking in schools or whether it's the modeling stuff and music and PT and coaching boxing or whatever it is. Like you sort of have to, man. Like you either go, like I know stories of guys that have made it in the Australian scene that completely quit their job, went on Centrelink and like, well, like this is all I'm going to do until I blow up. And they did, because sort of when you back yourself into a corner and you want it as bad as you want to breathe, like you make it work. But then I know other people that have done that and then they just fall to pieces. Like it's dependent on the person, it's dependent on the talent. And then, you know, a lot of situations that I know with artists that have even blown up really massive internationally, some of them had some really good financial backing. Some of them had the right support. Some of them just knew the right people. But it's, you know, like for your everyday artist, like hats off to everyone. Like I'll never shit on anyone for pursuing any sort of creative endeavor, because it's hard, man. It's very hard, you know, like and you know, it's quite funny. I get a lot of messages obviously around like release dates from like friends that sort of help with a bit of management stuff sometimes or whatever, and they're like, oh, like how you going, like you excited for the release, you and you're like sort of like, yeah, like you are, but you're also sort of realistic, and you're also like your idea of where it will be, you know, you've got to sort of manage your expectations, because I think that's why a lot of people don't last very long in the industry, because they just expect that things are going to go absolutely nuts overnight. And it takes a long time to become an overnight success. And I'll get, you know, my name in the paper, or I'll have an article done about me or something, or my Wikipedia page goes up or whatever. People are like, oh my God, like you've made it. Oh, you got a blue tick. Oh, you've made it. You're like, mate, you have no idea my daily life. Like, you know, we still work. I'm a disability carer as well. I do all my different things that I do. But it's, and then it all comes back to how does it make you feel? Does it bring you happiness? Does it bring you joy? And when the answer is still yes, you go, cool. Like we're still here. We're still going, you know, like, but I think, yeah.
I think Kanye said it took him 10 years to be an overnight success. So
yeah,
like,
100%.
And Kanye is arguably one of the greatest artists of all time, regardless of who he is as a person these days. And obviously he's got, or whatever he's doing. He's probably, you know, along with Jay-Z, one of, if not the most influential hip hop person, you know, ever in hip hop. He's changed it so significantly. But like 10 years to become an overnight success for Kanye, who is known as one of the greatest. So if it takes him 10 years, you better expect that it's probably going to take you a long time. It might not take 10, it might take 5. But those people who blow after one album is like less than, you know, even close to being 1%. It is
and
just,
you've got to it's unlikely, but you've also got to be able to back that up. Like, you know, you blow up after one album, you better, if you don't want to be a one-hit wonder, you know, you're sort of better off, I feel like, having the slow grind. It's like the thing, if you knew that in 10 years, if you do something for 10 years, you will be successful, like you will be successful, 100% guaranteed, I reckon a heap of people still wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? That's the whole game of life. It's like this is my, what's this, 2022. This is my coming into my 7th year of doing music. So 2015. Oh, yeah, 7th year. Good math. Boom. You know, if you were guaranteed it, it's like even with investments, people want to make millions of dollars overnight with crypto or whatever. It's like, yeah, you can, but that, you know, you're not going to appreciate the money if you get it. You're going to just sort of be like, haha, look at me, made $1 million, sick. You're not going to know how to manage it. You've got the mindset of someone who doesn't have $1 million. Whereas you can still play in crypto, but you could take your time and do some other things, and it could take a lot longer time, but you could be guaranteed more money over time, but people won't do it because they want everything now. So delaying that gratification, I think, for lots of people is a real struggle when we live in a world where everything's so instant and and just, people want it now. So
I think it's because they see the blow up. They don't see behind the scenes. Like, even even fans of yours won't see behind, and they're like your fans and they really love you, but they don't see, 90% of the work that you have to put into it to make, the rest show. So it's like, and especially now with social media, 90% of people aren't showing their life. They're showing the highlights. And it's like, but you don't know, because I come home and I don't get home till 1 a.m. and then I got to keep working, and then I got to get up and I got to pay bills. So I got to have a proper job as well. And it's like, what they see is the artist. They don't see the person who's making the artist survive, essentially. And I'm like you, I've got a full-time job, and it's just how it is, because I got to pay bills as well. And but it's the sacrifice that I'm willing to make. And it's the sacrifice, so many artists are willing to make, is like, I have this dream, but I have no intention of, being broke forever. And I want to make sure that and I'm going to work more hours. Like, I'll work a full-time job and then I'll do this. And it's the same as for you. You're going to work and then you're going to do more hours. So your days aren't exactly, 9 to 5. Your days are, 7 to 11. And so you just have to make it work. And then you got to tour and you got to do all this other stuff. But it's like, make the sacrifices that other people won't, so that you can be successful.
Yeah. So you can live the life that they can't. That's even with what I do with disability, it's so funny, man. Like, you like you said, you show the highlights on your Instagram, you show the whatever. It's like the amount of times that people think I'm some massive baller, and it's hilarious. And I'm like, you don't realize that I worked the whole Christmas period, the whole New Year's period. I had one day off. I was working New Year's Eve from, what was it? It was meant to be 7 a.m. till 1 a.m., like 16 hours or 18 hours, and it ended up being like 9 a.m. till 1 a.m. And then they see like this amazing view that I put on my Instagram. So I'm like, that's my client's house. That's not my house. I'm like, I'll show you the cool views. I'll show you the cool shit that I get to do. But I was like, it's funny. It's funny. Like, sometimes you just wish you could have like a documentary crew that follow you around and just show people what you actually get up to. Because people would be like, oh, wow. Like, I always make an effort to respond to everyone in my DMs, right? Like, I don't it doesn't matter how many messages I have. If I've got a moment, I'll go through and I'll go, okay, cool. I'll respond to, everyone there. And some people will get pissy, like, oh, you're too big to follow me now, or you're too big to respond or whatever. I'm like, mate, I'm tired. Like, I've got so much shit going on in my world. And like, no offense to Joe Blogs or whatever, but I'm like, man, like, I'm busy, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I'll still make the effort to give you the time of day. And everyone's a person. Like, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. But yeah, it's just people are just got to be kind to people, really. I guess that's what it comes down to. Like, you don't know someone's story. You only know what they show you.
Well, what's funny is that those same people are going to be like, hey, why is it taking you so long to release your album? Why are you not going on tour? When are you coming to my city? Oh, why are you responding to my... And it's like, the more you ask of me to do, the more my time is split. And so like for every DM I respond to is like a second that I don't spend on writing a new song. And obviously you can't write 24/7, but it's like, we only have a certain amount of time in the day. So like, I think if you just take it with a grain of salt, like if I message like Cardi B and I'm like, oh, your music is amazing, I don't expect her to respond. Because as far as I'm concerned, she's got more important shit to do than to respond to me and make me feel good for like an instant of a second. So like, there's like this weird kind of view that some people are very like, they're not interested. They don't think about you. They think about what you do for them. And it's like, you're their employee in a way.
Yeah. It is interesting. I've had so many people in my life tell me, especially like partners, have been like, "Hey man, like you don't have to respond to everyone." But I'm like, yeah, but like, it's not that I want to give someone their dopamine hit or whatever. I'm just like, nah, like if I think it's probably like it's not an OCD thing, but I'll just see messages. I'm like, I've got to read that. I got to clear that. I don't want to have an inbox. It's like your emails. I don't want them piling
Yeah.
up. I want
I'm
to.
like you.
And
There's two types of
yeah,
people: the people with 1,000 emails and the people with like
yeah,
one. And I'm like
yeah,
you. I can't. People who are like 3,000. I'm like, what's the point of having emails if that's
yeah.
how many you got?
You're just clogging them up. Yeah, I just rather have it like if I've got anything on my to-do list. Like I think that's what's held me in good stead in my life though, because I've gone like, all right, I need to do these 10 things. Like I have 1 day off a week. Today's my 1 day off. I've got 2 podcasts. I've got, a whole bunch of things to pick up. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to do, a bunch of training to do, a bunch of writing to do, a bunch of tax stuff, a bunch of this and that. And it's like, cool. By the end of the day though, it's all going to be ticked off. And I'll be like, I can go to bed. Like, nice. Like there's nothing that's going to haunt me tomorrow because I've done it today. So, yeah, it's a good way to be, I reckon, rather than just like let it all pile up. Like, no.
I agree, and it's clearly working for you. Like honestly,
Yeah.
like I said at the beginning, and historically, my friends and I've had these conversations a lot. Is historically, I haven't been into Aussie hip hop very much because I started listening to hip hop when I was 10. No, or like I was 9. Get Rich or Die Trying came out. That was the first album I ever heard. So it came out 2003. I was born in 94. So I was about 8 or 9 years old. First time I ever heard it. And I became obsessed with American hip hop. And then Aussie hip hop, like we always had Bliss N Eso and but it wasn't the scene that it is now. And so like growing up, it was like, I'm not even looking at it because there's so much happening. And now it's so good to see people such as yourself, just elevating what Aussies can do in the genre. It's so good to see that the sounds are developing, sounds are changing, beats are changing. So it's like, you're part of the wave that is like, especially for me as a hip hop head, is like, go back and listen to Aussie hip hop. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because like, I'm very similar to you, like born in 92, but like I grew up listening to, I think I first listened to rap when I was about 5. It's pretty early on, and it was, my parents would have been appalled because it was like, friggin', DMX and like old Dre and Snoop and Ice Cube and Eminem and whatever. And then, it was probably only like, I probably would have been 10, maybe, or something like that when I first heard Hilltop Hoods. And I was like, oh, whoa, like Nosebleed Section came on. I was like, this is the best song I've ever heard in my life. And and now it's insane that like Australia can hold their own. Like, when I first started out, like how you said, my sounds obviously changed. I think when I first started out, all I had in my mind was, all right, Hilltop, Bliss N Eso, Draft, Seth Century, 360, Pez, horror show, that sort of vibe. Like, I'm like, cool, that's what this is. And I love all of those artists incredibly. And obviously, like from my connections with Bliss N Eso, it sort of like made it feel like, oh, this is real. Like, and going from where I'd started, where that was my main influence, as much as I knew like American hip hop sort of brought me, I was raised on that. But when I'm like, okay, well, I'm starting a career in Australian hip hop, I've got to model myself after Australian hip hop. But then obviously as time goes on, you're like, all right, like Zebra and Thank God for the Radio, like very typical Australian hip hop, probably from the older era. If I had have dropped that, 10 years ago, that could have been like a festival song type thing. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what it suited. But then, and it was like I was sort of living in the past sort of wave in my sort of initial like coming out in music. And then obviously as you go on, you start to sort of like change and switch things around and find your groove. And now my groove sort of, is modern, but still has that older sort of twang in some parts. And that's why like I listen to artists like Earth Gang and stuff, and like because it's sort of like that funky sort of vibe, like Anderson .Paak sort of stuff. It's still current, but it's still got the sort of throwback sort of feel. And it is really good, like you said, to see the scene come up. Like there's anything you could want within the scene. Like Australian hip hop's not just Australian hip hop. Like there's the grime guys, the trap guys, the boom bap guys, like there's so many different versions, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And like with guys like Leroy and what's his name? Oh, obviously like Chilling It and what have you as well. But there's so many dudes doing big things that are blowing up, and it's just going to keep growing. It's pretty exciting time, eh? Like I think it's with the access we have to everything, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's
Also, historically, Aussies haven't had huge commercial success in the States, whereas now you can definitely see it. People are moving over there. They're actually selling out shows and stadiums, and so I think it was like the same thing happened in the US where hip hop was underground, and it needed to have enough light and enough air to be able to have people go and bounce off of it. So like those people like Hilltop Hoods, like they set the scene. They brought it to the surface, and now everybody who's succeeding is doing it off their hard work in terms of going, hey, we're Australians. We can still do hip hop. You don't have to stick to rock music. You can still get into the genre. And now it's just enlined so many people, and still they sell out shows like no tomorrow here. But like, yeah, it is awesome to see overseas that Aussies are doing as well. And, grime is the exact same. Grime was huge in the UK, and you're seeing it now go into other areas of like the world. And it's just awesome. And even, they're taking influence of it in the US. They're listening to the beats that they have. And it's just awesome to see all these countries getting involved and still growing.
I think that's the benefit of, I guess, having the world, like I said, so accessible with the internet and whatever, because it's just like things that would have taken, like back in the day, it's like, spices have arrived from African continents. It's taken us 20 years. And now it's like, oh, cool, this trap beat I just heard today from an artist in Chicago, I reckon that's sick. Let's make something like that. Boom, like takes 2 seconds. And that's the cool thing, is like references as well for tracks. Like if you find something you like, it's like, cool, let's recreate it. Let's make something slightly similar. Let's do this. Let's do that. Like, bless you.
It's, everyone sneezes now and everyone's like, you're dead. You're dying.
You're good, bro. You're good.
But you were saying about recreating and being able to like, get more influence from others.
Yeah, it's just a wild world where it's just so quick. The turnaround's so quick. People don't understand that, like, if I make a song, half the time I haven't met the actual feature artist in real life, or like 90% of the time I haven't met the feature artist in real life, unless they're a mate or whatever. But, and same with producers. Like, as long as if I have an initial connection with the producer that I've usually met at some point, like all of my stuff that's done here, I obviously record here, send it to all my guys in Sydney and Melbourne, and then get everything back. Like, they're like, wow, the internet. Like, it's funny. It's not a hard process, really.
So do you record at home, or do you have like a studio that you go to in WA?
Right next to me. I've got the mic and everything set up. It's pretty funny setup, to be honest. I've got mattresses piled up. I've got a mattress on the top. I've got a guitar case holding those two together, and a picture of sunflowers that I found on the side of the road as like a roof support. And then I've got my mic and my Altron PF8 and stuff. So it's all like very studio quality. And it's just the benefit. The whole reason I've soundproofed here is purely for the neighbors. Like, no one knows I'm a muso here. One of my neighbors did, because she saw me on an article. She was like, you live next door to me, right? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh. And I was like, you haven't heard me at all? She's like, nah. And it's like, it's sick. Like, I can scream in there and no one will hear anything. No one can hear me scream. But I do everything in-house. And I guess that's the benefit of like I could always, you know, how you were saying with your studio and stuff, upgrading everything and whatever. I've had a secondhand MacBook Pro from Gumtree that cost me $200 that I bought in Sydney like 5 years ago, still kicking along. I've got audio box interface. I've got expensive pair of headphones and some monitors, but to be honest, I listen to everything on my ears. And then my mic is still like, it's not entry level. It's not, you know, it's a Rode NT2A. So it's not like the highest end, but it's not the lowest end. But everything I recorded in Sydney, we used the same mic. So I was like, I'm just going to stick with the same. So it's like my studio kit at home's cost me less than $1,000, but you know, that's good in that sense. I haven't gone, oh, I need to change it. Buy like a 40 grand Neumann or something. But yeah,
I think maybe let's make sure you're at least earning, you know, $40,000 easy before, you know, you start spending that cash, because like I was looking at how much it is to like, you know, buy those high level microphones, and like this microphone's good. Like it is a good quality microphone. And but like the ones that they have in like, you know, in the like the biggest podcasts and like the radio shows, they're like so expensive. And it's like it blows my mind.
Do they use the SM7Bs mostly, like the Shure?
I think so, but they're always coming out with new shit. They're always, that's what it is. It's like it's always upgrading, and then they got the cash to spend, so they're gonna spend 50,000 on a mic because it's like, it's, you know, their life. But like to be fair, had you been like, I go to a studio or you do it at home, I wouldn't have been able to tell. Like at no point. That's the whole point. Like that's why I asked the question, because I actually have no idea. You could be at a studio. That's why it's awesome the way it is right now.
Yeah, well, a lot of the stuff that we did in Sydney, there was a house that I was meant to move into, which was like a music house where like Mind Over Matter had like made all their albums and stuff, and that was where I was meant to live end of 2018 with my partner. We came back to Perth. We had a car accident, decided to stay in Perth, and I was like, oh shit, like where am I going to record? Where am I going to do this and do that? But like, man, the places I've recorded. Like I've recorded in like studios with $40,000 mics, $50,000 mics, whatever. It depends on what people are listening to your music on. There's so many different factors. Like their car stereo might be a piece of shit. You could have recorded it on a potato and they're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. You never know. But like, it's funny, man. Like one of my songs, Magic, I recorded that up on the Central Coast in New South Wales in a cupboard. And the only thing that was there to soundproof it was some clothes that were in the cupboard. And like your mix engineers, you know, my mix engineers and my mastering guys are absolute weapons anyway. So I literally could record it on a potato and it would still sound good. But we go through so many revisions, you know, like I'm sort of the dude that's like done is better than perfect. Like I don't obsess over a song that much that it like gives me nightmares or anything. But like if I think the song is good enough, I'm like, cool, done. First mix might be it. But with a lot of them, it's, you know, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. And then it gets mastered. So there's a big process to get it to where I like the sound of it.
Well, I think Master Ace said that if you haven't recorded in the weirdest fucking places, you're not a true artist. So
yeah.
That gives you cred, because I think he said he recorded in a bathtub once, or like, well, it doesn't, no idea. I don't know how it works, but like literally you do what you got to do to make it work. Like sometimes it's like beggars can't be choosers. And I agree with you. I've always thought that like what stops people is it needs to be perfect, but like perfect is subjective. There's no such 100%. Thing as perfect. Like every song I'm sure you listen to, you're like, that's awesome. But looking back, I reckon I could have done this better, even though you're fans and I'm like, that's an amazing song. I wouldn't change a thing. And you would still be like, I'd still change something.
Bro, for a period of time from like 20, when would it have been? It would have been half of the songs on Attachment Theory that were recorded in Perth. Half the songs were recorded in Sydney. half of those songs, my teeth were screwed up. My wisdom teeth had grown together on like an angle where it threw my jaw out and it made me sort of have like a lisp. So if you watch back on certain videos for a period of time, and it's still not 100% now, I'm still not happy with it, but I used to be able to speak quicker and more articulately than this, and I find it quite annoying at the moment. My teeth actually touch when I talk when I say certain words. But if I listen to songs from like half of Attachment Theory onwards till like, I don't know, probably even some of the songs in the Dress Circle. I think the Dress Circle's fine now, but I literally just sound like, for me, like I've got a speech impediment the whole time. And I'm like, oh, like that's the worst. No one has said anything. No one really, unless I point it out, they're like, oh, maybe. But it's just funny, man. Like people get so obsessive over it. And I'm like, you're better off pulling the trigger than keeping the gun cocked the whole time and just waving it around going, oh, maybe I'll release a song. It's like, just put your music out, mate. Like you got to do it. That like, obviously be proud of it. But there's times when I've obsessed over a song a little bit and gone, oh, and you get ear fatigue is real as well, where you realize that you're listening to the same thing. You know, as musicians, you can listen to the same looped bar for 3 hours on end, trying to fix this and fix that and line that up and da-da-da-da-da. But there's been times where my first version of the song was way better than the final one because I just went over the top. And I'm like, it doesn't sound like how I wanted it, but it's out now, whatever, I'll put it to bed. Like, I'm not going to let it keep me up at night. But, you know, I'll show a demo mix from my producer to someone. They're like, this is sick. But then we go a bit like, let's do this, let's do that. That's why it's so important, I guess, to just be authentic and just do what you want to do and not try and have compare to other people. Or have they done this? Have they done that? Or that Mac Miller voice edit thing is cool. Let's use that. Like, it's like, nah, just like run your own race, you know, like, and then you can't really do wrong. There's a sound out there for everyone. So, but yeah, it's definitely a thing. I know a lot of people that get really caught up in it and they don't ever give themselves a chance to sort of just never content, you know.
It's like when you say a word over and over again and the word loses meaning. Because you're like, it's just sound. It's that's exactly, it's exactly that. Is like, you're listening it so much, you don't know what's good and what's bad anymore. And sometimes the best way to find out if it was bad is to put it out and get feedback on it. And I think your final message was like, you know, trust yourself. At some point, you just got to trust yourself, run your race, put it out there. The market will tell you. Like the market will give you feedback on it. If it's no good, people will tell you. And then you're like, all right, learn the lessons and get better. You don't have to agonize over one song. It's not one shot.
There's so many people I know that have sat on a song for years. And I'm like, bro, put it out. Like Night Owl on the Dress Circle I wrote in 2018. That's probably the longest song up until now. There's probably some other songs that I'll release down the track that I wrote ages ago. But like that song just wasn't right. But it wasn't that I didn't like the way that it sounded or whatever. It was just like, I think the lyrics could be a bit better. And usually I write everything in one go and that's it. And I don't go back unless it just doesn't sit right with me and I go, that's shit. Usually it's to a point when I've written it first time. I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Done. But Night Owl was one of those songs that I sort of agonized over a bit. And even got to the point in some of the mixing processes and some added production processes that I was like, I don't think this is going to make it. And then I was like, you know what, it's good. And then, you know, of course I dropped the album and then on the first day, a bunch of people, man, Night Owl's my favorite song you've ever made. Blah, blah. Like someone's going to love something you do. Like some people will hate a song that I've done. And then like there's a whole other bunch of people that have like frothing on it. So yeah, you can't win them all, but you know, there's, like I said, there's some sound for everyone. Like, you know, someone's going to like something.
Like you said, if, you know, Drake drops a project and still people don't like it, then I think you'll be okay. Like, you know, everyone has their critics. Not everyone's going to love everything you do all the time. It's just life. Yeah. But yeah, I only have one more question for you, to be honest.
Yeah, bro.
It's the only question that I plan on the podcast. Might be the hardest one, but if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once, any genre, cannot be your own, of course, what would it be?
I would say, oh man, there's so many options. I've got so many CDs like up against the wall in this room as well, which I was like, oh, I wasn't going to say that. Now I want to say that. I will just say, I'm going to give a nice general one, which I think that if you don't have an education in this, you definitely should. And it's a bit of a cheater because it's sort of like a greatest hits album. But if you were to go the Beatles' greatest hits, you probably can't go wrong.
There we go. I honestly didn't expect the Beatles' greatest hits from you.
It was going to be the Police, but then because they're one of my other favorite bands. But no, the Beatles, man. If you want to learn harmonies, just ways to structure a song in a way that it sticks in your brain. The Beatles are the definition of dumbing down music in the perfect way, where you don't even listen to the song for 10 years and you can come back and you know what they're going to say because it's so obvious that they're going to rhyme happy day with go away. And you know what I mean? Like it's just clever, basic songwriting that has churned out some of the best music ever. Like, obviously subjective to me, but and all the oldies out there.
You're the only one. You're the only one who thinks the Beatles are good.
I only like the. Have you seen that movie? The one where like everyone forgets, and then like I think it's Dev Patel like uses all the Beatles songs, and everyone thinks there's like a storm where the Beatles are wiped from the annals of history, and then this guy has always loved the Beatles, so he just starts like playing them live, and he blows up as if he's the Beatles, and it's like it's a good movie.
I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. Yeah.
Very clever.
It's like, you know, those imaginations is like, imagine if I invented Google. Like,
Imagine if everyone forgot who Drake was, and then I just like knew all the lyrics to his songs, wrote them all down, and then remade them, and was like, I'm Drake. Like you just
Hotline Bling. You just make Hotline Bling.
That's the best.
Well, I think that's a good choice. I always love hearing what artists say, but as I said, Johniepee, absolutely love that you jumped on the show. Busy schedule for a day off. You're not doing a lot of resting. You're a very busy person, so I appreciate you making time in your schedule. But make sure you check out his album, The Dress Circle. Obviously, you know, you can listen to it on Spotify, but artists really don't make much money off Spotify. So make sure you buy the album for real. And make sure you go check out his catalog. Music videos on YouTube as well, put in a lot of effort, and you can see his deadlift for 240 kilos, or at least some of it. It was coming off the ground. That's all we know for sure. But man, is there anything else you wanted to plug?
Oh man, nah. Pretty much, the deluxe edition. The deluxe edition of the Dress Circle drops on Friday, which would be sick. Bunch of new songs on there, and then I'm looking to drop another album quite possibly in May. So, man, chugging along. Playing a bunch of fringe festival shows as well. If you're in Perth, I'm going to be doing a bunch of comedians versus rappers freestyle gigs. So they're quite fun. Hopefully smash the comedians, but that's it, man. You follow me on Instagram if you pretty much want to see every second of my life that I feel like showing, because that's where it is. But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me. It was an awesome chat.
My pleasure. And hopefully, you know, everything with COVID, I keep saying it every podcast, hopefully everything relaxes and we can all start to tour again and see each other live. It's just what we're all hanging out for.
You're in Melbourne, right?
Yeah. So maybe we'll have to get you to come down for our Fringe Festival, comedy festival, whatever's going on. I'm sure we'll be happy to have you. But as I said, absolute pleasure, man.
Thank you, bro. Much love.